I appreciate the time you've chosen to give today towards educating yourself about solar, and I'm honored that you're here. It's my goal that you will leave with all of your most important questions answered about solar, and hopefully to convince you that going solar now is the most financially sensible decision you can make. I ask that you stay muted with your videos off during this presentation, and if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I'll address them at the end. So let's get started. So why is it that you want to go solar? A lot of people have different reasons why they want to go solar. And I have a short poll here, which I'm going to launch right now. There are about 5 or 6 different reasons why people want to go solar: to provide power during power outages, to reduce your environmental impact, to reduce or eliminate electricity costs, to increase the value of your home, or perhaps something else. So one of those reasons is yours. If you could just select that now, that would be great. And great. Just end the poll now. And it looks like many of you are really concerned about having power during power outages, as well as to reduce or eliminate electricity costs. That's great. Okay, today you will learn a little bit more about how solar can help with that. First of all, who am I and why should you be paying attention to me? My education and training background comes from a master's degree in curriculum design from Columbia University and years as a corporate meeting facilitator and organizational development trainer. My consultative sales and technology experience was developed as a sales executive with IBM UK, where I helped large clients such as the London Stock Exchange and Standard Chartered Bank and other large financial institutions implement their IT strategy with IBM products. I started on my path into solar energy consulting in 2016 because it combined my love of technology and my teaching and training abilities to allow me to help homeowners in their journey towards going solar, to permit me to earn a sustainable income in a business that's closely aligned with my values, and to let me do my part in taking a significant step towards reversing global warming. What I'll be covering today: 3 secrets. Secret number 1, how solar plus battery systems work. Secret number 2, what utility companies don't want you to know. And finally, secret number 3, how to determine if solar energy is right for you. So let's start with secret number 1, how solar plus battery systems work. On the next screen is going to be a short video. Pay attention to it, it goes fast, but I will be explaining the video throughout the course of this workshop. Here we go.
The way battery backup works with solar is quite simple. During the day, your solar panels produce energy and send it to your panel box. You'll use some of this energy in your house, and if you have any excess energy, you'll begin to charge your battery. Once your battery is charged, any additional energy will flow back out onto the grid. At night, since you won't get any power from solar, you draw power from the battery, then from the grid, reducing the amount of energy you actually take from the grid as much as possible. New battery technology would allow you to coordinate with time of use rates. When the demand on the grid is high and the time of use rates are high, instead of paying the high rates from the grid, you'll use the energy stored in your battery at no cost to you. When the grid goes down, you'll be able to use the energy your solar system produces, as well as the energy stored in your battery, to power your home until the grid comes back. A battery is a giant step toward energy independence.
So let's go into that video into a little bit more detail. First of all, what solar plus batteries can't do for you. They won't allow you to go off grid if a grid tied system is possible, and they won't allow you to end your relationship with your utility. However, what solar plus batteries can do for you is that they can make you less dependent on your utility by providing backup power, enabling time of use load shifting, and setting you free from rising energy costs. So let's look at these points in a little bit more detail. Look at the background on this slide. This is a cloudy day in February. It's been like this for over a week. In order to have enough batteries to be able to charge enough to power your home during this time would require a basement full of batteries at a cost that's very expensive. Another thing is that solars can't install solar without a connection to the grid if grid tie is possible. And so some of you also might be thinking, why can't I just install solar without a battery? Because solar arrays send excess energy not used by the home or stored in a battery back to the grid. A solar array is designed to cut off when power shuts off to protect the engineers working to fix the lines. So to the question on this slide, so how does a battery make me less dependent on my utility? First of all, solar plus batteries can provide you with backup power. They can power your home when the grid is out. Whole load or essential load, probably the most sensible thing to think about is powering your home just with the essential load to begin with. Whole home is kind of like that picture I showed you on the previous page. It's a little bit more expensive, however, it can be done. I have another thing too, is last point I want to make on this slide is generator versus battery, or both. What you can do, some people I know here in Northern California have already installed petrol or gas generators in order to power their homes during power outages. A lot of people found that didn't work so great because it stank, it was noisy, there were long lines at the gas station. So many people now are starting to look at a battery for their solar. Now I have another workshop, Solar Battery Secrets, which goes into all of these in more detail, which you can watch on my website at upstartenergy.com. And one more point that I want to make with this is that what some people are doing now is they're taking their generator and hooking it into their solar system to create what's called a microgrid, which basically allows you to island your system away from the grid during power outages, which means you can have all your energy needs met during the time of power outages with a generator and a battery. You can learn more at my Solar Battery Secrets workshop. And here we go. Watch the Solar Battery Secrets workshop at upstartenergy.com. Now let's look at time of use load shifting. What is time of use load shifting? It's the ability to charge your battery when the grid prices are lowest and discharge them when the grid prices are highest. And you'll see in this diagram, the red line represents your solar production, the black line represents your electricity usage, and the gold line represents the cost of electricity. With the way solar rates are structured, you will be on what's called net energy metering, which allows you to get credit for all of the energy that you're producing during those lush midday hours when the electricity prices are cheapest. And you get to use them at night and store them in your battery, where you can use your battery during those early evening hours when the prices are highest. A lot of people are now shifting to batteries and are looking at batteries because it is starting to get expensive. The difference between the early evening costs for electricity and the midday costs for producing electricity, the delta between those it's an ever widening gap, which means you have to have more and more solar in order to offset the cost. So batteries can help overcome that. And let's see what solar and batteries can do for you by setting you free from rising costs. This leads me to secret number 2, what utilities companies don't want you to know. What don't they want you to know? They don't want you to know the cost of electricity over time. Let's uncover what you're paying for electricity, how to calculate it, and then what happens over time. First, let's look at this and let's understand how you are charged for electricity. We measure the energy our car consumes in gallons. We measure the electricity our homes consume in kilowatt hours. The price you pay per kilowatt hour depends on a number of variables, including how much electricity you use and when you use it. It can be very confusing, but let's see a simple way of calculating what you are paying on average for a kilowatt hour of electricity. This is a typical bill. In this case, it's from Pacific Gas and Electric in Northern California. How many of you actually look at your electricity bill each month? Or how many of you just grumble and pay it? Well, I invite you the next time to have a look at your electricity bill. And let's look and see how you could calculate your true cost of electricity. First, let's review this typical bill. If your bill is over $100 a month, you're using a substantial amount of electricity. You'll see this bill is at $112 a month. Notice here, though, the excessive charges and fees that are a part of that number. The fees that include the generation costs, which includes the cost of production of your electricity, the transmission costs of the electricity from where it is generated to taking it to the substation, and finally, the distribution costs of the energy from the substation to your home. Now, if you have your calculators handy, get them out. Let's do some simple arithmetic. What is the transmission charge? And if you can't see it that well, the transmission charge is $16.75. I want you to add to that the distribution charge of $44.97 for a total of $61.72. Now, what's the generation charge there? $56.28. Isn't that interesting? The cost to get it to you is a lot more than the generation charge. Let's put these costs into context using a pizza. So how much does an average pizza cost? About $20. And if you ordered a pizza for delivery and the driver told you, that will be $45, please. $20 for the pizza and $25 for the delivery charges. Let me ask you, would you order delivery pizza ever again at those prices? Now let's have a look at what you pay over a year. You can see that this graph is a graph of 12 months energy usage. And you can see that there was a spike in the summer for this household. In this case, it was house guests in July. But this particular bill actually represents about an average cost for a typical month in this household. Now, to get the cost per kilowatt hour, you only need 2 numbers on this bill. Take the total electric charges of $112.30, including all the extra fees, and divide them by the total kilowatt hours used. In this case, 522 hours, to get your price per kilowatt hour of 21.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Many states in the country are, especially in the East Coast, are somewhere around 9 or 10 or 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Down in San Diego, you're looking at, well, you're looking at maybe 35, 40 sometimes. This 21.5 is getting on the high side. And I know us here in Northern California, I've seen kilowatt hour charges as high as 35 and 40 cents here in Northern California. But anyway, let's just use this example and have a little bit of closer look as to what you might be paying over time. And keep your calculators out. Some of this you'll be able to do on your calculators. So what are you paying over time? So remember, 112.30, that's the 12-month average cost. In 12 months, you would have paid the electricity company $1,344. And here's what you'd pay over 10 years with no price increase, $13,440. Okay, let's say we're really lucky and we only see a modest 4% increase year on year. That cost increases to $16,782. And here in Northern California, what if we saw a more realistic 8% increase year on year? What would the number be then? $21,028. And in 20 years, you would have paid $66,424. You could go to college or afford to send your kids to college, or at least a little bit on that number. So this is the result of money you are currently willing to give up each month to a utility company because you need electricity. You bought your home because you wanted to be free from renting and have more control. So why are you still renting electricity? And oh, by the way, electricity costs are showing no signs of decreasing. Insurance costs are increasing everywhere for every utility. This is probably, rising insurance costs is probably the biggest threat to our economy as a whole, as wildfires, floods, and other major weather events are increasing insurance costs in every industry sector. And energy is absolutely no exception. In fact, it's probably leading the charge, especially here in PG&E territory, who is struggling to pay back all the homeowners that have lost their homes in the recent fires. Now let me tell you a story about Karen. Karen attended an in-person version of this webinar a few months ago. Her average monthly electricity bill before solar, you can see it circled there, was $161. And if you look at her estimated cost of electricity over 25 years, she would be paying $80,474. So what Karen decided to do was to replace her utility payment with instead a solar loan payment with an immediate return on investment. So she traded paying $161 to her utility company for a monthly loan payment after solar of $124. And this number is a monthly number, fixed rate, that also includes upgrading her electricity panel, which was a fire hazard. So what do you think are some of the benefits Karen receives by having gone solar? First of all, Karen didn't have to find the money to go solar. She just switched from paying her utility company $161 to paying $124 for her zero down loan. She also knows her $124 monthly loan payment will stay the same, so she knows in advance what she will be paying for electricity, rather than praying every month that her electricity rates aren't going to skyrocket. And at the end of her 25-year loan term, she owns the system free and clear, and except for her minimum meter charge, never has to pay for electricity again. Her home also increases in value, typically 3 to 5%. Why? Because now she has an asset on her rooftop that's actually, quote, printing out cash. And finally, there are no prepayment penalties on this loan. So if she wants to, she can pay down her loan faster and get a better return on her investment. So I ask you, what is the number one reason why people don't get started? Though, what did Karen realize? She realized that I already have the money to pay for a solar loan from the money I would have paid for electricity. In fact, this is so important, say it with me. I already have the money to pay for a solar loan from the money I would have paid for electricity. And now's the time for a quick break to introduce a company that, a general contractor that I am connected to, Power Energy. This is a more detailed slide about Power Energy. I invite you to take a screenshot of this. I'll talk through some of the things you can't read right now. I started with Power in 2016. I've seen it grow sensibly and sustainably from its humble beginnings to one of the 10 largest solar companies in the industry. They are a public benefit corporation that has as its mission to panel 1 million homes by 2025. They're debt-free, and because of their totally online business model, they have actually been thriving during this COVID crisis. I personally know the management team, and I am pleased to say that they are all people who are experienced at and qualified for the positions they hold in the company. This management team, therefore, is very different from many other solar companies who generally have leadership that have started as solar installers and think they know what it takes to start, run, grow, and maintain a solar business. Power's installation teams are regional throughout the major solar markets in the United States, which includes California, Texas, Florida, Nevada, and more. So I can help homeowners throughout the country with their solar needs. I am also an investor with Power. So I've put my money where my mouth is in terms of my faith in Power to be there for the long haul, to fulfill its mission and vision. And Power walks its talk. It currently is the only solar company that is offsetting 100% of the emissions of the company and every solar installation. And one more comment about Power. Power offers the most comprehensive warranty in the industry. This policy is what you think you are getting with other warranties that other installers offer, but you're probably not. The biggest difference here is that the labor costs are included, along with the inverters, whose warranties are otherwise usually only 12 years in length. This is like getting a free inverter. This alone is worth $5,000 or more. This warranty is backed by a major insurance company, and with one phone call to make, there's no finger pointing as to where the problem lies. And when you sell your home, the policy is transferable to the new homeowner. Few installers offer this warranty. I am thrilled that Power does, as it's the only warranty that provides the total peace of mind you're looking for when you buy a solar system. Okay, let's continue with our secrets. Secret number 3, how to determine if solar energy is right for you. We'll be looking at your bill, your home, roof and shading, and your financial situation, specifically your credit threshold. As we mentioned before, generally your electricity needs to be greater around $100 a month on average for solar to make financial sense. If your bills are currently on the low end, are you anticipating any increased energy usage over the next 5 years? Perhaps you might like to run your air conditioner for as cold and as long as you like. Maybe you're thinking about buying an electric vehicle. Or perhaps you just want to lock in your electricity rates. If this is the case, going solar today, even though your bill might be on the low side, could help you prepare for these anticipated costs. Now, let's have a closer look at your home. Do you own or do you rent it? If you are a renter, you will need to talk with your landlord first about the benefits of going solar, because it is he that is going to have to purchase it, he or she. If your home is modular or manufactured, the biggest problem with this is that most building authorities won't grant you a permit for solar. However, if you use enough electricity, a ground mount may be a good alternative for you. If you're stick built, you're golden. Now let's have a look at your roof. Let's assess the roof and check for the following. First, your roof orientation, size, and shape. Are your roof facets facing in the right direction? In other words, is there enough space for panels on the south side? Now, with the increase in efficiency of panels, we can also put panels on the west and east sides of the building as well. And some people even will put them on the north, although we generally don't like to do that. Let's look at your roof quality. Generally, your roof needs to be 15 years old or less in order to install solar upon it. It really does depend on the condition of your roof, though. Are the shingles intact or do they look worn out? If they are old and your roof needs replacing, here's the good news. This cost too might be able to be included as a part of your solar project and could also qualify for the solar federal tax credit. That is a conversation with your accountant, though. Next, let's look at solar access. Are there trees or obstructions that could create shade on the roof, especially in the afternoon on the south side of the home? And how close are these trees to your home? So how many of you think your home qualifies so far for solar? Even if you don't think your home qualifies, you won't know exactly until you have a conversation with a solar consultant. In any case, it's time to get specific about your situation. So what about financing? In the past, most homeowners paid cash for their solar energy system. And you can still pay cash. And actually, this is, when you pay cash, the best return on your investment. So what many people do is they're taking money out of risky investments, the stock market and other financial savings they have. And they're investing this money into a solid investment in solar that's making money on their roof. Investing in solar like this, many people are seeing a 10 to 20% return on their investment, which is a much better performance and less risky than their stock market portfolios. For those of you without savings like this, today there are innovative financing options that actually make solar affordable, which we've been talking about all through this webinar. In fact, so affordable that it is this innovation in financing that has actually accelerated solar adoption dramatically. A zero down loan or lease is an option for those who qualify. And generally, your credit score needs to be 650 or better for a loan or a lease. If you have a challenge with this number, don't give up hope. We may be able to help. Now, let me show you an example now of how a zero down solar ownership program works. Let's meet Howard. Howard also attended an in-person version of this webinar, and he ended up with a top-notch solar system and a new roof on his home, and he's able to take the tax credits for both, all while paying a few dollars less than his electric bill and locking in his monthly payments for the next 25 years. So what about leasing? A lease is another way to finance solar that you may have heard of. A lease is where the solar provider owns and is responsible for the solar array, and the homeowner pays for the use of the equipment. Let's look at this lease case study from my farm. Our 24 panel solar array, you can see the panels there in the right-hand picture. It services the needs of 2 houses, a barn, and a water pump. We are paying for this lease $172 in total, which is roughly a monthly savings of $67 and a total savings over the 20 years of the lease of $64,000 roughly. We think this is a great deal, and we're really happy with it. And this is our orchard house building. Look at the graph on the left. Can you guess which month we went solar? Good guess. And our total electric charge of $9.52 was just the minimum monthly charge for the meter. Now let's look at some frequently asked questions. What about if I sell my home? This happens all the time, and the solar industry has figured this out. The loans or leases that Power provides are easily transferable. Make sure your real estate agent understands solar. A solar array is not like any other fixture. Make sure they know how to position, price, and list your home to show how solar adds value. Make sure they work with an appraiser to educate them about the best appraisal methods to use for your solar home. A good real estate agent will understand the best options for you, whether to pay off your loan and lease at closing or whether to transfer it to the new owner. So when is the best time to go solar? Yep, it's now. Why? Why do I say that? First of all, because every month you pay a utility bill as an expense. You're wasting money that could have gone towards making a loan payment towards an investment in solar for your home. It's the same reason why you bought your own home rather than renting it, right? Why would you rather rent rather than own your own electricity? Also, the more people that go solar, the higher the cost of electricity for those who remain. Labor costs are also rising, which is a major part of the cost of your system. So don't wait for the technology to improve. It won't improve fast enough to overcome these cost increase. And the other thing too is that solar energy rate programs are changing fast. And if you're not grandfathered into a solar electricity rate program now, you will most likely be paying a much higher minimum charge and a higher interconnection fee as utilities attempt to recoup costs. And finally, with the solar federal tax credit fading away at the end of this year, you'll want to make sure that you can take maximum advantage of this tax credit while it still exists. So the number 2 reason why people don't get started, I don't know if this will work for me in my home. You might be thinking this sounds great, but how do I know if this is really going to work for me? Well, I've given you some basic information today so you can know a bit more about you, your home, and its suitability for solar. You won't know for certain if your home is suitable until you speak with a solar consultant who can more closely look at your situation and give you a better assessment. I hope I've shown you that I am worthy of your time. If what I've shared with you today makes sense and you want to take the next step towards exploring solar for your home, I invite you to reach out to me to set up an appointment for a more in-depth discussion. I really look forward to speaking with you soon.